First of all, Mario Batali is not a bad person. If anything, he represents the best of the food industry, and he should be given credit for giving back to the community. He's an Iron Chef. He's an owner of 25 restaurants that employ a lot of people, and he should be given some credit for his philanthropy. Over 20 years and massive fundraising efforts at the Food Bank for New York City. He's got the Mario Batali Foundation, which, if I had to guess, is probably set up on a model based on the Clinton Foundation. And additionally, he's got the Lunchbox Fund, which you can check out all the stuff they do on his website. Now that that's out of the way, I gotta say this. What are those? What are those? I have a deep respect for traditional Italian cuisine, and I appreciate that the Batali family is carrying their cultural heritage into their ongoing business ventures to this day. Mario's father has opened a deli called Salumi in Seattle, which is widely popular. It's been featured on one of Tony Bourdain's shows. And from what I understand, when they opened, they focused mainly on sandwiches, but since the opening, they have tripled their production space for processed meats and cured meats. Mario's father is quoted here as saying, "My grandfather was here in 1903 in Pioneer Square doing the same thing I'm doing. Oxtails, pork cheeks, cured meats, sandwiches, or by the pound." The point here is that the Batali family has been in the business of processed meats for generations, and they have a vested interest in seeing it continued successfully. Just a reminder that in 2015, the World Health Organization classified the consumption of red meat as probably carcinogenic to humans, and processed meat was classified as carcinogenic to humans based on sufficient evidence in humans that the consumption of processed meat causes colorectal cancer. In addition to the 25 restaurants he runs, Mario Batali has opened what is perhaps the largest multi-joint venture of food industry bigwigs in history. The concept of Eataly is basically a diversified international food market combined with a cooking school and a lot more. No press is bad press, Mario. He's even got his own line of privately labeled condiments and oils. So, isn't this the American dream? What could be wrong with any of this? I think the traditional diet was more conservative in the use of decadent products like extra virgin olive oil and aged cheeses. As I understand it, the Mediterranean diet is healthy despite the animal products and bottled oils, not because of them. And the health-promoting qualities come from whole plant foods like grains, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. What was once prized for intense labor cost and scarcity is now cheap and widely available to be used in excess. Aged cheese is probably the most acidic product you can put in your body. Americans have the highest rate of osteoporosis of any nation, yet consume the most dairy. Is oil even healthy? It's 100% refined fat. There's a reason why Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn excludes all bottled oils from his whole food plant-based diet to reverse heart disease. Mario Batali is basically leveraging globalism and the agricultural practices of the last 200 years, which directly exploit not just the environment, but animals as well. The issue is the creation of a misguided culture through normalization and repetition. He's basically creating organic unity through the universal language of food. You see this decadent style of cooking over and over on TV and begin to think it's representative of a normal and healthy diet. Strangely enough, Mario Batali's not the only one who's guilty of this betrayal of trust through the portrayal of cuisine.
I'm so proud to be a part of your presidential delegation that I'm just bursting with joy.
It's very cool.
It is totally cool for me to be a part of it. So what do you imagine that this trip and this delegation is going to do? What is it for?
We're going to talk about food. Globally, our food systems are becoming ever more complicated. Diabetes is up globally, obesity rates are up globally, and no country has really figured out how to make any lasting changes to these trends. So we need to have some real conversations with our leaders globally, and that's why we're here.
Insulin is the key that unlocks the door to let sugar in our blood enter the muscle cell. When insulin attaches to the insulin receptor, it activates an enzyme, which activates another enzyme, which activates two more enzymes, which finally activates glucose transport, which acts as a gateway for glucose to enter the cell. So insulin is the key that unlocks the door into our muscle cells. What if there's enough insulin, but the insulin doesn't work? The key is there, but something's gummed up the lock. This is called insulin resistance. Our muscle cells become resistant to the effect of insulin. What's gumming up the door locks in our muscle cells, preventing insulin from letting sugar in? Fat. What's called intramyocellular lipid, fat inside our muscle cells. Fat in the bloodstream can build up inside the muscle cell, creating toxic fatty breakdown products and free radicals that can block the signaling pathway process. So no matter how much insulin we have out in our blood, it's not able to open the glucose gates and blood sugar levels build up in the blood.
Here at the James Beard American Restaurant today in Milan.
We did a little cooking.
Did?
Yeah, with some young people.
Are you guys ready to cook with us?
Because that's one of the things that you always talk about on the Chew and your team is that cooking is the way to make these changes.
So you find some things in the fridge, or you shop well and you make sure you have a couple things around the house all the time, and then you just toss them together. And in a salad format, it's very easy to find something delicious and enjoyable that you could put together for your mom and your dad or your family or your grandma or anybody that you know in a way that helps them become involved and be a part of your team in the kitchen.
And it's fun, and it really brings the family together, and we saw that with these amazing kids.
What can we possibly do with the best information that we can harvest here and take it back to the States?
We need to keep expanding and growing and changing and figuring out new innovations and get our business leaders involved and our entrepreneurs and our chefs and our celebrities. We need everyone at the table.
Mindful presence.
That's right.
Mario Batali with Michelle Obama here in Milan.
Thank you.
I've always wanted to do that. Damn, I nailed it, too, didn't I? Come on. So I'm going to take, I don't know, 3 or 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. But I'm not most chefs. So you get a pan, and you use extra virgin olive oil, probably about 4 tablespoons.
A lot of
Fake
sauerkraut.
relish. That fake cheese product is doing more damage to you than meat ever would. So this is a vegan hamburger? Is that what we're doing?
Hamburger.
All right. Have you never tried a bratwurst?
No, I've never even heard of a bratwurst.
What planet are you from that they don't have?